right, people. Everyone else's 2 minutes is up and you all are here, so we will get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the October Tech Talk. I believe we actually had this scheduled for a couple of weeks ago, and then some things came up. So if you had to move some schedules around, we appreciate you doing that, and thanks for attending. This morning's session won't take very long. Quick session here on security certificate considerations for version 12.6 of CCE as well as packaged CCE, as we'll talk about. And we would invite you to come back for a couple of more sessions today in another hour from now, which is 10 a.m. my time, Mountain Time. Got a session on diagnostic framework Portico and web services manager with CDP regarding how to get those security certificates enabled for CA signed stuff. And then this afternoon at 1 p.m. my time, there's another session on custom functions within CCE. So hopefully you can attend those as well, if at all possible. And if not, I believe those are going to be recorded, and check with our marketing people at Sunset. Whoever sent you this email to get you here, probably those will be recorded for other purposes if you want to watch those later, if you can't make those today. So that's the deal. All right, let me get started here with this first session. My name is Mike Keitzer. I'm an instructor here at Sunset Learning. Been here, geez, a long time now, 23 plus years overall. So been doing along the way education on all kinds of things. Contact center enterprise is really what I've been focusing on the last 20 years or so, I suppose, with Cisco, other vendors and solutions as well. But in version 12x of CCE, if you haven't ventured down that road, one of your tasks, if you will, depending on your perspective, might be one of the pain in the rear ends you have to deal with are security certificates. And that seems to be more of a common thing these days, just with all kinds of applications. Everything needs to be secure, and authentication and perhaps messaging back and forth between components. So security certificates are a large part of that operation. And there's some distinctions here in version 12.5 and below versus what you're going to see if you upgrade to version 12.6. Some fairly minor considerations, all given, all things considered, but things that will drive you a little bit crazy if you don't know about these changes for version 12.6, because for all intents and purposes, in my experience, some things kind of looks like it's all working, but it's not really working. So just some minor updates here for version 12.6. Okay, let me get the pencil out here. Let's get going on this. Agenda this morning, again, pretty quick presentation. We'll talk to you about overview of the subject here. We've already given you a little bit of heads up on that, but we'll take a quick look at some of the key points from the release notes in 12.6. Release notes are those things that no one reads usually. I certainly don't. I guess I've learned that I should. Don't always certainly do that. And Yusuf, I'm not sure your question. Your question is it possible to register the session? What are you asking me, sir? Good morning, Yusuf, by the way. Morning, Josh. Thanks for, recorded. Yes. The session is already being recorded. You just don't know that. So if you miss out on this again, you check with our marketing people, and I'm not sure when they'll have that available. It usually takes a week or so to get this recording all straightened out, but you should be able to access this at a later point in time. So he says, thanks to that. Cool enough. All right. Josh, if you're just joining us, we haven't started too much here. We're just talking about what we're going to talk about. Overview and release notes is first order of business. We'll explain basically what our agenda is here this morning. And then we'll talk to you about a couple of key differences regarding the Java Keystore on your ICM and CCE components for version 12.5 and below, versus what we're here to really talk to you about this morning is what's going on with 12.6. So definitely some differences along the way with this thing called the Java Keystore, which we'll explain to you. And you notice we kind of break this out by ICM key stores. Remember, ICM is also otherwise known as just the name of the solution, CCE. If you come and take class from us, we'll call it the old school name. We'll distinguish that between ICM and then CVP key store consideration. So CVP is different as well. I would say this change from 12.5 to 12.6 more impacting for ICM than it is for CVP. At the end of this, stay tuned. We've got a marketing promotion, might show you how to win a new car. Maybe not, maybe just give you a chance to save some money on future classes, what we'll talk about. All righty. What's going on with my clicker here this morning? Go old school. There we go. Okay, so overview of security certificates. From the 12.6 release notes documentation. Again, read the release notes, people. I'm guilty of not doing it, but when you do upgrade stuff, it's got good information in there that probably you need to know about at some point in time. So I might just say, well, get in the habit of saving yourself some frustration and, read the release notes. It'll make you more educated. What's basically going on in 12.6 in regard to security certificates. Now, this is just a portion of the snippet of 12.6 release notes, but it pertains to security certificates. Basically, Cisco or the CCE solution transitioned from Oracle Java runtime environment to an open JDK. What does that matter to you? You don't really care about that. It's still Java stuff. You need to have Java stuff to run stuff, apparently. Somebody along the way decided, hey, let's do some different Java stuff for a Java runtime environment. The 12.6 installer / upgrade utility, if that's what you're going with, is going to install the required open JDK version. Okay, so it's going to do that automatically for you. It says if existing Oracle JRE is not needed, you can install it from the system manually. In our experience here anyway, we didn't uninstall it. Seems to work just fine. Nobody cares. You just need to know about some different considerations with what's going on here. What really happens here is we'll show you, this is going to affect the path of the Java Keystore on your ICM servers more than CVP. And if you're used to using this key tool command, which we'll show you about, key tool command is not affected. So it seems like the way that you administer your key stores is the same. It's just the key store location and the name or the folder location is different, as you'll see here shortly with the ICM servers. I don't know why this says configuring business hours, but it should. Okay, so 12.5 and below versus 12.6 security considerations for certificates. What we're on here is we're on an ICM server. So this is going to be all of your routers and loggers, PGs, AWs. It's not going to be any of your CVP servers. We're not talking call manager here, finesse, anything like that, just the ICM servers. If you were to go take a look in Windows at your system variables, what you would have noted in 12.5 and below is Cisco is included for you, or maybe Java is included for you. Java and Cisco is included for you. Basically a system variable of Java _home. And as we'll show you here, when you go to navigate the key stores and do your key tool administration work, you use this Java home folder to your advantage. You can do a change directory, by example, into %Java home %. And what it'll do is change your directory location magically into whatever the heck that folder is over there based on this system variable. Well, that's cool. You used to go to this folder location. Underneath there was a couple of other folders, which we'll point out to you, that you went to a bin security folder, a live security folder, and that's where your Java Keystore was. Remember, your Java Keystore is the place where your security certificates are administered from. We'll show you that here in a second with this utility called the key tool utility. So in 12.5 and below, we use this Java home variable to change in the correct Java version or folder directory. When you get to 12.6, 12.6 installer, as I said, puts a new version of Java on there. And now what you've got is a new system variable that only shows up on your 12.6 servers named CCE Java Home. And basically that difference of this folder location here is what this whole conversation comes down to. In the old folder location is where your Keystore file was. And what you need to make sure of is that you're just putting that Keystore file in the new folder location, as we'll show you here in 1 second. So as an example, we're on a 12.5 server and below. We would have started off maybe at the command line, changing into the just Java home folder location. Notice what that did for us is it changed into some very long folder structure here that easily got to by using that cool system variable over there. And from there, what we did is we changed into the lib security folder manually. And the reason we did that is in this whole path for 12.5 and below lib security folder is where we found this file called CA certs. And that CA certs file is the Java Keystore for all of your ICM servers. And we used utilities like the key tool utility, which I believe we'll show you here in 1 second, to go out there and administer / manage that security Java Keystore overall. All right, cool enough. So on ICM servers, use the Java home, change the correct Java version directory, go to the lib security folder to find that file called CA certs. That's your doggone Java Keystore on your ICM / CCE servers, not your CVP servers, none of those other servers. Remember, this is mostly just affecting the Windows components is what's going on. All right, cool. What about 12.6? 12.6, not a big deal. All you really need to do now is get in the habit of changing into the CCE Java home variable folder. You notice that it's not case sensitive. I can use all uppercase or lowercase. And when it's declared in the system, it's put in all uppercase, but I don't have to use that. And all that simply does now is changes me into a different folder structure where I still have a lib security folder. And under that lib security folder still exists a CA certs file. And that CA certs file is, let's call it the new Java Keystore that you'd better be administering. Your old file in theory is still out there under that old system folder location. And now the system after reboot is trying to look at this folder and this file to see where all of your certificates are located. So, geez, if you didn't do any work on this file, nothing good would be happening right about now. Let's show you how we might fix that. Don't know if I was showing you how to fix that. I think what I was supposed to do, sorry, I was on vacation last week after I built this, but pretty sure all I'm supposed to tell you right here, since I wrote this, is to say, hey, pretty easy adventure, people. Go back to your old Keystore location. If you just upgraded from version 12.5 to 12.6, go to the old folder location, grab that CA certs file from this location and simply copy it, boom, into your new Keystore location for version 12.6. You might take just a backup of that, right? Rename that cacerts.old, just because that's a good habit to get into in case you dork things up. And simply just copy that old CA certs file from that original folder into this new folder location. Make sure you get into the lib security folder, lib security folder in the right spot. And boom, you're off and running. Now, in theory, probably what you want to do is you probably need to restart some ICM services along the way for that, which we will, in fact, tell you about that. But that should really be all you need to do. The key tool command, remember, is the built-in utility, we'll call it, from Cisco that allows you to manage your key stores. I've been doing a little bit of work like this much, very little bit of work with, I guess, Call Manager version 14, if that's what you call it. It's got a new fancy WebEx name going on, but I have seen or at least heard of all that there's new, maybe GUI-ish tools, maybe allow you to manage key stores a little bit more simply. And this is from Cisco. There's also some available things online. There's a tool that's free to download from the interwebs called the Keystore Explorer. And that's a nice GUI tool that you can use to manage your key stores as well. However, if you're just an ICM server, you don't have any of these other fancy tools, what you'd be using is this thing called the key tool command. So we're showing you here that on the ICM servers, the key tool command is actually within your search path. So from wherever you are, and in theory here, we're in, some live security location for either 12.5 or 12.6, hopefully 12.6, using the key tool command to try to manage our key store. So simply showing you here that we can do a key tool -help to get all the command sensitive help that you can use with this key tool command. And what we're showing you here specifically in this live security folder is you're using the key tool -list command to list the key store named CA certs is basically what I've got typed in there. And remember that on all your ICM servers, your key store password by default is simply a lowercase password. Change it. That's the default password out of the box, right? And then you would use that to go in there and list all of the components or entries within your key store. If you want more information about managing those key stores and actually running some of these commands, get that done, tune back in an hour, and we'll talk to you about that in regard to a couple of components, WSM and Web Services Manager for CDP and the diagnostic framework Portico stuff. So that's all good stuff there. Just reminding you that that key store command, the key tool command is a command to modify, look at, observe, update your Java Keystore. Remember, your Java Keystore on your ICM servers is a file named CA certs, and it's in the appropriate folder as we've just been talking about. Your CVP servers also affected by this update, but not in any way, shape, or form that you might actually notice. And why is that? Well, the location of the key store file is the same. So even though Cisco over here with CVP version 12.6 might be using a new version of Java, you don't really note that because the key store location is still in the Cisco CVP conf security file or folder location. And that file itself is not a file named CA certs. That's an ICM file name. The file on your CVP servers is a file named .keystore. And that's just for, I guess, job security purposes. The other crazy thing that you have to keep in mind is that on your CVP servers, starting off up top here, the CVP servers have unique passwords for the key stores, unique to each server. And so one of the things you do is go to the Cisco CVP conf folder. In the Cisco CVP conf folder is a file named security.properties. And if you more that file or simply type it out, what you'll actually reveal is what the heck your key store password is. So if you're using something like the key tool command to modify your key store, which by the way is not actually in the search path for whatever reason on your CVP server. So you got to either get in the location where the key store or key tool command is located, or in the key store location, reference where that folder location is. It's kind of crazy, but either way, you're still using this key tool command to go out and look, modify whatever you need to do with your key store, which is a file on your CVP servers by the name of .keystore. Hopefully that makes some sense because, geez, the first 19 times through for me, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. However, again, tune in about an hour and we'll share more information with you. Don't forget that if you modify these key stores, you're going to have to restart some things. By example, on CVP, you're starting the Web Services Manager. ICM servers, you're restarting the, well, I don't know, restart the whole server, I guess, if you wanted to, but make sure you start the appropriate services. There's a bunch of key stores, I guess, within ICM, so it depends on what you're trying to do, right? If you're just doing some IIS stuff, you might just need to restart IIS. So it depends on the nature of the beast of what you're working with. As threatened, this is a pretty short discussion. Main things that we discussed here were the fact that in 12.6, you got a new key store location. Your ICM servers, you're going to use the CCE Java home folder location to get to that key store. Your CVP servers, you don't really notice as much is going on. All of your finesse servers and any of your boss servers, not affected really with this particular release in any way, shape, or form that you would really see since you administer those via a GUI. Right? So some marketing promotions for you. Just as a reminder, thanks for sticking around for this short session. Some newerish classes in the CCE world. Some of you recognize as students out there might have taken some of our newer classes. All these classes are based on 12.5, 12.6. We're actually running 12.6 in our current lab environment. And we've got a one-day foundations course, which really runs same week with a 4-day administration course usually. So now that's 5 days of goodness in 1 week. But hey, if you're more on the senior management end of things, or you know people up there, we've got just a 1-day course people can attend to learn more about what the heck CCE is. And this relates to not only packaged but unified as well. And then what we've done is taken an advanced admin 3-day course and usually pair that up with a reporting course. So that's another 5-day juncture, but again, sold as really 2 separate courses you could attend. The implementation and troubleshooting course, again, another 3-day, 2-day adventure over there. I would highly recommend those of you that are thinking about that troubleshooting course, thinking that looks pretty good. I'd really recommend you take the implementation. Implementation seems to be, by name, frightening people off, from what I can tell. But many people get to the troubleshooting course and go, hey, am I going to do a bunch of that security certificate administration work? I go, well, we did a whole bunch of it in the implementation course. We'll give you a small smattering or flavor of it down here in troubleshooting. So don't be wary of that implementation course, even if your system's already implemented. That's a good course for you to learn more of the nuts and bolts with how CCE actually goes together. So highly recommend that course. It's good stuff. It's all based on packaged implementation, but it relates to CCE as well. Remember, it's the same stuff, right? Same candy, different wrapper, as somebody once elegantly quoted. Not me. We've also got ECE if you're doing some enterprise chat and email. That course is now updated to version 12.x as well. So come back and attend that course if you're doing some ECE stuff. That's all I got for you. Again, pretty quick session. If you tune back in a little less than an hour, right now it's about 9:30. So in about a half an hour, we're going to have another discussion on more security certificate administration. Other than that, that's all I have.